guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we shall be going through my January budget recap for 2021, and before we get into the 2021 version, I just want to share my 2020 recap when I first started using the Budget by Paycheck workbook. So the starting point for closing out your budget is always going to be the expense trackers, because this is where you'll be pulling out all your data. Now, as you can see, for January 2021, which was my first year, I did not use my expense trackers. So this is the first page of the expense trackers, second, third, and final page of the expense trackers. And as you can see, they are all blank because at the time I was still using an app and I thought I was actually accurately tracking my spending. So not until I started filling out these pages in the Budget by Paycheck workbook did I realize that I was actually tracking my spending incorrectly. So on this worksheet, I simply put the totals that I had within my app and then put the totals there. And then when we flip over to the first Where Did My Money Go worksheets, this is where I found and could actually see that I had quite a bit of problem areas. So if we zoom in, the first Where Did My Money Go worksheet is your monthly budget category breakdown. So you have a slot to indicate your starting balance, incoming income, and the total monthly income that you have. And you have your budget categories, the monthly budget that you had set, the month, the amount that you actually spent, the difference, and the percentage of income. And as you can see, I have quite a bit of red categories there, just to simply highlight that I was actually over budget in almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 categories. And at this point, this is when I actually switched over to actually tracking my expenditure in February. So this was one of my big aha moments, because when closing out my budget, I found it quite a bit tricky. Then we move on to the second Where Did My Money Go worksheet, which is the monthly debt and savings breakdown. So this worksheet is mainly there to actually highlight how much money you spent towards your debt, or the amount that you spent towards savings. So luckily, I don't have any debt. So my focus starting January last year was savings. And it tells you your percentage of the income that you've saved. And it even goes further to breaking down what savings categories did you save for, because savings could be your sinking funds, any other financial goals that you may have, challenges, and so on. So this actually pinpoints those categories with which that you are paying attention to. And then the final Where Did My Money Go worksheet is the monthly spending comparison. And as you can see, I didn't have any data in December because I started in January. So I couldn't calculate how much I spent between the 2 months, but I simply wrote down my starting amounts for January and then moved on from there. So now let's move on to the 2021 version, but it is essentially the same thing. The starting point for closing out your budget will always be your expense trackers. So this is my expense tracker for my checking account. So these are the things and the transactions that came out from my account. And then we have the second part, or the second account where money comes from, is my cash envelopes. And these are the transactions that I highlighted so far for my cash envelopes. You notice that I highlighted these myself, but I didn't highlight the ones that were coming out from my checking account, and that's okay. So it's just simply preference, because I actually still use the app to track my expenses. That's why I don't have any totals within my expense trackers for January, like you would see, for instance, starting February for next year's. So once you have all your expenses done and your totals done, so I'll simply quickly go straight to my app. So this is the app that I use. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. And those are my expenses for the month. So I'll switch over and show a quick video of everything within my expense trackers just now, so that you see where I'm actually pulling out the information for my where did my money go worksheet for January. So for my expense trackers, like I said, I still use my app for tracking my expenses. So this is the app that I use, and these are the transactions that came out throughout the month of January, all the way up until the 29th. And then to get the figures to show or enter in my where did my money go worksheet for my monthly budget category breakdown, I simply go to my stats tab, and this gives me an overview in a pie chart form of where my money went and each specific category. So for instance, savings was 56% of my income, and I saved 14,078 and 50 and 78 kwacha and 50 ngwe. And then my second highest spending category is sinking funds, followed by investments, beauty, bills, hardware, transport, groceries, hair, online purchases, fun, money transfer, and social, and then finally stationery / education. And I have all the amounts to my right. So this gives me a quick overview in a pie chart form, which is simply the same thing as you would see, for instance, in the expense tracker, where you have highlighted everything. And I can actually click on each individual category to see how much I actually spent on a specific item. So for instance, in savings, I have rainy day fund, local vacations, 2021 savings challenges by the budget mom, how much I contributed to my coin challenge, and also my 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha challenge. And it also gives me the dates when I made those transactions. So I can also zoom in further and find out how much I spent on sinking funds and the items within sinking funds and the dates, all the way up to, let's say, my bills. And it also gives me a graph form for the previous 6 months as well. So this is where I pull out information to enter into my first where did my money go worksheet. So after I have pulled out the information from my budget app, I simply write down that information on the monthly spent, and then I will use my budget to find out how much I identified for that budget category, and then find the difference, and the percentage of income can also be put from the app. So looking at January, I'm only over budget in 6 categories, which is good, and I had the money to fund these things. But in actual fact, of the 6, 2 of my budget categories are actually savings, like savings and sinking funds. So you would always want to be over budget in those 2 categories. So this is how you would fill out your money, your where did my money go worksheet. And another thing that I have started doing is now actually indicating my next month starting balance. So this is the amount that I will be using starting next month. It won't be necessarily part of my budget, but it will be shown within the expense trackers. So when you're done with that first sheet, the next one will be your monthly debt and savings breakdown. So for me, no debt for now, so my focus is solely on savings. Now for savings for this year, I decided that I would remove sinking funds from my savings goals, because sinking funds are funds that I will still use up during the course of the year. So I would really want to hone in and see the actual saving contributions that I am making. So for my total monthly income, I was able to save 14,078 kwacha and 15 ngwe, and that's approximately 55.6 of my monthly income. And when I look at the individual saving categories, I will see that majority of this amount, this 14,000, went towards my 2 big savings goals, which are my rainy day fund and local vacations. And then after that, I have my 2021 savings coin challenge and my 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha savings challenge. When I look at this, this is a reflection of how I actually want to be saving my income. So once you're done with the monthly debt and savings breakdown, the final worksheet, which is one of my favorites, is the monthly spending comparison overview. So finally, because I've been using the Budget by Paycheck workbook for a year, I have figures from December to compare with January. So the first lot that you enter would be your monthly income change. So this would be comparing income from December to January. So for me, I had seen an increase of about 3,482 kwacha. And then we can see the months that I overspent in this brownish reddish color. So I overspent in beauty, and that's because I was buying beauty products for the year, so that's fine. I overspent in bills, probably because I bought gas. And then for hair, I was also buying some hair products for the year, so that's fine. And it's only by 29. And I also overspent on money transfer and social. For me, this was because I needed to figure out a new withdrawal system, and I think I have, so this should be going down. Overspending in savings is always a good thing. And then I overspent in transport because I gave out transport to my brother and my father. But generally, looking at this information should actually help highlight and plan for the future in terms of specific budget categories that you would want to reduce on. For instance, if I look at my spending categories and change in income, the one that I would want to reduce on the most would probably be money transfer and social, and probably my beauty and hair. But for me, these aren't big budget categories that bother me so much. But if you would want, a good way to indicate which budget categories to tackle one at a time would be using this worksheet. So basically, this is my monthly budget recap for January, and it is always an important step that you need to do whenever you are budgeting, because whenever you create a budget, the budget is simply a guide or a plan of action in how you want to spend that money. It is also important to check and see whether or not you went according to plan, or rather things went according to plan, or there are things that you can change moving forward. So it's always good to have a sit down where you actually check and see and then plan for the future. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. You are welcome. Hit the notification bell so that you don't miss an upload from me, and I'll see you in my next video, which is probably my net worth update for January 2021, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.